Broke is a joke? Tired of being tired? Come buy freedom with the Urban Money Manager, where debt-free is the place to be. I'm your host, the Urban Money Manager, and today we're going to break the shackles of student loan debt. That's right, y'all are in bondage to Sallie Mae. Sallie Mae has you all by the grips, and it's time to break the shackles of student loan debt. How do you break the shackles of student loan debt? First and foremost, you have to know who you are. There's so many of us right now that know we have student loan debt, but we don't actually know who we owe. You have to be able to find out which companies you actually owe money to. Did you know that when I graduated from college, that was the first time that I realized I owed money to 7 different student loan lenders? I had no idea. I just signed up for something not knowing what I was getting myself into. Like many of you, you have to first know who you owe. And then after you know who you owe, you have to understand how much you owe them. You need to be able to understand, how much do I owe each lender per month? What is the monthly minimum payment? That's going to be very important as we strategize your way to get out of debt. The next thing that you need to know is the interest rate. What is the interest rate associated with your loan account? Again, that's going to be critical information as you're strategizing your game plan to get out of debt, okay? Now, for those of you who don't know about your federal student loans, I'm putting a link on the screen right now to show you where you could find all of your student loans in one place. Go to the website, it'll tell you everything you need to know. Maybe the letters are not coming to your house, check that out, thank me later. Now, what you have to do now that you have the information that you need to know about each lender, what you need to do right now is create a deadline for when you're going to get out of debt. You must create a deadline for when you're going to get out of debt, because guess what? Getting out of student loan debt is a very important goal. But a goal without a deadline is a wish. And getting out of student loan debt isn't something that we're wishing for. Getting out of student loan debt is a must. You don't want to be 60 years old talking about, I still owe Sallie Mae money. You don't want to be talking to your great grandkids, not being able to help them because you're still paying the same student loans from the same college they graduated from. You want to be able to help your family. You don't want to be able to be a burden to them. So what you have to be able to do is knock your own student loan payments out now, okay? And you have to find ways to support that deadline. After you have the deadline put in place, the deadline is what's going to push you to get things done at a certain time. So as you're finding ways to reach that deadline, guess what? That's when your mind's creative juices are going to start flowing. That's when you're going to think about taking on extra jobs, maybe an odd job, maybe a side hustle, any extra income that you can rack up to help you meet that deadline, things that are going to help push you. You might sell something. I sold everything when it came to me getting out of student loan debt. I would sell everything. I would sell shirts, unwanted electronics, anything that you could think of, I sold it, okay? And many of you have things around the house right now that you never use, but is marketable. That's something to keep in mind to help you reach your own personal deadline. Now what you need to do is you need to focus on being organized, okay? Now that you know who you owe, now that you know how much you owe, you need to organize that information. Because guess what? If you don't have anything organized, your student loan situation will always feel overwhelming. It will always feel like you're in a mess because you're looking all over the place for the information. You're looking at all of these different letters, you're trying to find this letter from this lender, calling that lender, everything is going to be all in shambles. Here's what I suggest. First and foremost, I don't even keep any letters that I get from student loan lenders. Why? Because I get all paperless statements. I paid all of my student loan accounts off using online accounts, and then after I signed up, I stored the password for the online account in a spreadsheet. That's what you'll want to do, because most lending companies, and this is very annoying, most lending companies, they have different password requirements as you're trying to log in. So as I was trying to log into one student loan company, one company said your password has to be 8 characters long. Another lending company says your password has to be 6 characters long and it has to use numbers. Another student lender says you have to have your password 8 characters long and it has to have numbers, exclamation points, and all of my passwords were different for each lender because there were different terms. And it makes it so hard to be able to pay people. because you're trying to remember what the password is to try to pay somebody else. It's ridiculous. What you want to be able to do is you want to make things easier on yourself and just store the passwords all in one place. That way, when you're paying your student lender, all you need to do is pull up your file, plug in the password, and get going with the payment. Or if you want to use auto pay, that can benefit you as well, because there's many student loan lenders that will actually cut your interest rate if you choose to go auto pay, if that's what you want to do, okay? Use that at your own discretion. But the keynote that I want you to understand is you have to be organized. Let's get rid of the guesswork. When you're in guesswork and you don't know when your information is at, that can cost you big money. You might miss payments, okay? Not only can you miss payments, whenever you're unorganized, it's going to limit your productivity. It's going to undermine your productivity and ultimately your quality of living. Now what I want you to do, after you've become organized, after you know who you owe, after you know what you owe, now that you have everything put in place, now it's time for the reality check. Now it's time for the brain boost. And what I want you to be able to do right now is, I want you to understand that in order to get rid of your student loan debt, you're going to have to be consistent and keep believing. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be consistent. Understand that this is not going to happen today. Getting out of student loan debt is not going to happen tomorrow. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it will happen. You will get out of debt eventually. Guess what? When I was getting out of debt, when I was paying off my $95,000 in student loan debt, I had no idea I would be out of debt in 2 years' time. I planned for 5 years, 6 years of being in student loan debt. But guess what? You know what happens? As you start to buckle down, as you create deadlines, as you apply laser focus to your vision, opportunities start to present themselves in ways that you never imagined. You find money from other places that you didn't even know existed, and you use that money towards helping you reach your goals. That's why I need you guys to be consistent. Don't be impatient. Don't feel like just because you're not seeing the needle move now, it's not going to move. Guess what? It will move, but you have to be consistent, and you must keep believing. I cannot emphasize this enough that you must get out of your student loan debt, because guess what? You're not going to be able to cheat your way out of Sallie Mae. That's the reason why I told you guys you're in bondage to Sallie Mae. You're not going to be able to cheat yourself out of Sallie Mae. You know why? Because 99% of the time, whenever you try to bankrupt your way out of student loan debt, bankruptcy does not remove you from your student loan debt requirement, from your student loan debt burden. 99% of the time when people file for bankruptcy, you still owe your student loan debt. That's very important to know, guys. Why is that? Why is that the case? Because student loan lending laws and lending terms are not the same type of agreements that you would have on other types of debt, like a credit card. For example, if you pass away right now, as a student, if you pass away right now, your parents are going to have to pay for your student loan debt. Your parents that co-sign on your student loan, Sallie Mae is not going to care that you died. This has been documented in current events. This has been documented in the news. If you pass away, the student loan sharks are going to knock at your parents' door. They're going to look for that money. So guess what? Don't put that burden on your parents and procrastinate and put it off. You always want to prepare yourself to have the best life you can live, not only for yourself, but for your family. And guess what? Even if your parents pass away, did you know that if they were your co-signer and they pass away, you would have to pay that student loan debt immediately? You don't want to keep this around. You don't want it to haunt your life. Right now, you might feel like you can contain it, but guess what? You want to be consistent. You want to keep believing you can get out of student loan debt. You want to be able to break the shackles of student loan debt, because Sallie Mae is going to get their money one way or another. That's the reason why I'm telling you you have to have a winner's mentality. That's the reason I'm telling you you have to be consistent. That's the reason why I'm telling you must keep believing in yourself, because like I told you in the last video, no one cares about your money more than you. And you have to care about yourself enough. You have to care about your family enough to get this burden off your back. Success is waiting for you, but Sallie Mae can't go with you on a ride. You have to take Sallie Mae off this boat as you're going onto your road of success. You have to get it out of your life, okay? So I encourage you, be consistent. Be encouraged. Keep believing in yourself. Stay organized. And then and only then will you get out of student loan debt and break the shackles and realize how liberating life is after you've gotten rid of Sally Mae. So I'll see you next month. We'll talk soon. This is Urban Money.